Hello everyone, and welcome to my overview opinions about this Grand Seiko SBGX337. I'm making this video because there are some things there's not a lot of content about this watch, and I would just like to contribute a little bit to the space if there's because I've worn this for a while, and yeah, there might be something that I might have a perspective that helps you out if you're looking to buy this watch, because there's not a lot of videos out there about it. So, real quick, I bought this as a duty watch. I'm a full-time firefighter EMT. I also work. I also have a kind of side job. I work per diem on an ambulance near my hometown, outside of my full-time fire department job. I've been on the job. I've been on fire for about a year, and 13 months with fire, and oh golly, a little over a year and a half on the ambulance at a separate ambulance service. So when I got hired at the fire department, I wanted a watch to wear on duty, more or less just as a dedicated tool watch, just to have with me, because I like watches. I like nice watches. And I suppose I wanted an excuse to buy another watch. Excuse me. So at the time, a year ago, I bought a Marathon G-SAR Arctic 41 millimeter. Now here's where you can pause the video and go look up that watch, because I don't have it anymore. I bought that because, if you know anything about watches or Marathon, it's very much a military watch. I think it actually was designed by and for like Canadian Special Forces or something like that. It's a really cool watch. I loved how it looked. I loved the utility. The utility, the tritium was awesome. But where that watch, I don't know if it let me down. I let the watch down. I was at work. I had the watch on a table, on its side. And I knocked it off the table onto a hard floor, at which point something got messed up, and the watch was gaining like 5 minutes an hour, or every couple hours. It was running phenomenally fast. So I sent it off to Marathon to get fixed, and started to wonder, should I have a quartz watch on duty instead of an automatic watch? Which then led me down the rabbit hole of, well, if I'm going to get a quartz watch, because I am and was at the time a bit of a mechanical snob, if I'm going to get a quartz watch, I want to get the best quartz watch out there, and that is Grand Seiko 9F. Now, if we're going to get a little bit of inside baseball, because I'm sure some of you are saying, why didn't you get a G-Shock? Well, I already had a G-Shock it was a Christmas present from my grandfather, and when he passed, the watch came back to me. So, that's a different story. But so in fire and EMS on the ambulance, say I need to take a manual pulse, either on the wrists, on the neck, on the hip, wherever it is. If I'm taking a manual pulse, having a digital display doesn't really work for me. I can very quickly say, okay, 30 seconds from here to here, and start counting pulses, or 15 seconds, a minute, whatever it is. But I can instantly say 30 seconds, bing, bing, pulse, check, start counting. You can't really do that with a digital watch. So that was my very lame excuse for not buying a G-Shock for on duty. Throat's a little dry. I could take some water here. So I kind of thought, I was like, okay, if I sell the Marathon, chuck in a little bit of extra money, maybe, just maybe, I can afford a used Grand Seiko. And I did. I found this with a bracelet, no box, no papers, from Japan. I think after after shipping and import duties and sales tax and crap, it was like 23.50 out the door to my doorstep, 23.50 with a bracelet, no box, no papers, which I didn't really care about. So that's that part of the story. And here we are. So, so why did I buy it? And what am I going to do with it? So, I've had this for a few months now, wearing it exclusively on duty. Partly just just for a lot of it was also I wanted to have something that I could pass down to my kids. Whoever it is, maybe when they graduate high school, graduate college, and start their career. I can give this to them and say, you're starting your life. I want you to have this. And I wore it throughout my career. And, so as, any story I've told them, any lesson I've passed on from work, from my career, this was, I think it would be really special that they could then have this. And especially, say if they're going to go into police, fire, military, EMS, maybe they can wear it during their career too. So that's that. I kind of wanted an heirloom piece, and obviously I like watches. So here we go. Things I don't really like about the watch, so we can end on a positive note. I don't like the bezel. It feels mushy. It kind of feels cheap. There's some wiggle in it, and the clicks just are not very tactile. And it's pretty easy. Actually, no, it actually feels a little stiff, but not in a good way. I don't know how to describe it. It just feels mushy, and the clicks are really weak. This is a me problem, not a watch problem. So I know a true diver will not have a date, in my opinion, and in some other people's opinion, because when you're scuba diving, you don't need a date. You just don't. But when you work my schedule, 24 on, 72 off, sometimes I legitimately do not know what day or what the day is or what the date is. So not having the date on my duty watch is kind of annoying. I'm going to nitpick for a second here. A lot of people complain about Seiko and Grand Seiko bracelets. So let's start with a Seiko bracelet. This is the bracelet off of my 62 Moss, my SPB213. Love the watch. This bracelet, so I think that watch was like $700 out the door. I bought it used. We've got arguably, I think a really, really good bracelet for the price. You have this milled clasp. Is that the right word? Here, this is probably stamped, but whatever. That this part is, I think, the word is milled. You got a diver's extension. You've got, really nice links. What I really like in a bracelet is I like the male end links. For some reason, female end links just make a bracelet feel kind of cheap. I like that the links have, kind of a curvature. Say the San Martin bracelet, the links are all just very flat and there's no real texture to it. So, and of course we have solid end links. I really like this bracelet a lot. I think it feels like a quality item. Quick side note, I do not and have never owned a Rolex or an Omega. Two companies that arguably have, some of the best bracelets on the market. So my perspective on bracelets is extremely limited. Let's pick up the Grand Seiko bracelet. It feels very similar to the Seiko bracelet. Take from that what you will. I would, am I dissatisfied with this bracelet? No, it's comfortable. You know, it feels like a quality item. You know, we've got the male end links, which I like, solid end links. You've got a really cool diver's extension. So either you open, you know, you come on, you kind of pull back on this locking tab, and oh, I'm doing it backwards. Push on the tab, and there it goes. Put it back down, and there it goes. And then maybe you're not supposed to, but there are these little pins here which you can pull on to get it, to get it to come out, which I have done accidentally, especially like taking the bracelet on and off. It's very easy to extend this out. Like I just did it to, you know, to extend it out a couple clicks by accident when you're taking the bracelet off. And then and now if I was, you know, putting it back on and doing that, yeah, you're going to get pinched. That's kind of uncomfortable. And with the bracelet on, so like, you know, this clasp, and just look at these side by side. You know, the Grand Seiko with that particular style of diver's extension, this thing is chunky. And on with the watch with the bracelet is really heavy. And so usually I leave a little bit of play, like this the Seiko 62 Mas. I leave it a little loose because I don't, you know, just because my hand swell, you know, my wrist swells up during the day. There's no quick adjust, so I leave it a little loose, and it's relatively light, and it's comfortable. When I fit this bracelet, when I fit the Grand Seiko to match the, you know, to match the Seiko, the weight of all of this combined with my typical looseness that I like on the bracelet was just too much. It was flopping all over the place. It was actually uncomfortable. So I set this one to actually be somewhat snug on my wrist. So it would move a tiny bit, but it would generally stay in place because of that weight. I don't know, it just felt weird having all that weight flop around on my wrist. Now, that's partly rendered somewhat irrelevant by the fact that I wear it on a yellow rubber strap 90% of the time. This is just, I think this is like, what is it, Strap Habit. It was like $30 on Amazon. I picked the yellow because it matches the watch, and my department logo has both of my departments logos have a little bit of yellow in them. So I think, you know, if we're being fashionable, I think it looks nice with my uniforms as well. So yeah, I'm not crazy about the bezel. I'd really like there to be a date, and the bracelet is arguably not nice enough for the caliber of watch that we're dealing with. Now, things that I do like. Obviously, the biggest one is the way it looks. It's hard to get the point across on the internet or either with a video or with an article, but when you have a watch like this, especially, you know, Grand Seiko with their polishing, with what was I getting at? Just I find it, I wasn't a journalism or a literature major, so I find it impossible to effectively describe the difference between a Grand Seiko and a Seiko. But when you have this on your wrist and look at it and it's in your hand, I find it to be glaringly obvious that this is a higher quality, more expensive item. There's no way I can describe. The best thing, all I can say is go to a watch store and put some of these things on, because you can't experience that over the internet. and you're not going to you're probably not going to understand, okay, well, what, if I can get, this really nice 62 Moss for $700, why am I going to spend $2,300 on a Grand Seiko? Well, for a lot of reasons, maybe, yeah, you shouldn't. It's a lot of money, and there's a lot of better things we can do with that money. But as far as the value that the Grand Seiko brings over the regular Seiko, aside from the technological innovations of 9F or spring drive or whatever, just pure aesthetics and handling and the experience of wearing it and holding it, you really need to just do it in person, because no video, no article is going to effectively describe that to you. My bezel's off. And I'm still, you see, and that's another thing. So like it's really hard because the bezel feel is kind of It's like, okay, yeah, all right, now it's lined up. You're going to have to decide for yourself if it's worth the extra money. But what I can say confidently is that there is a big difference in quality, and the only way you can assess that is to get one of these in your hands. That's about it. So, weirdly enough, I've only gotten compliments on 2 of my watches. I've got a Christopher Ward diver and this. So some lay people have complimented me on this. And then also when I got my marathon back from service and I had these 2 concurrently, trying to make up my mind, I brought in my girlfriend. And I said, "Hey, which of these watches do you like better? Which one should I keep?" And I gave her no context, no pricing, no rationale, no. I just said, "Which of these should I keep to wear at work?" And she said, "This one." And I was like, "Oh, okay, why?" And she basically was, she's like, "I don't know, the marathon is kind of boring, and this is gorgeous." I was like, "All right, enough said." And I have to say, she's right. It's a little smudgy and scratched up because I got this used, but you could shave in the reflection of the polishing on this thing. It's nuts. And even the movement. So I took the case back off just once, just for ha-has, and it was like staring into the sun, looking at that movement. Oh my goodness. All right. So let's put this thing on. Now, I've got skinny little wrists. They're like 6.5, maybe 6 3/4 inches. You can see how far this strap comes around. And this is a relatively long strap, but yeah, it still comes around a long ways. I don't think it looks out of place. I really don't. And even with the bracelet, I think it still looks good on a smaller wrist. I don't know if I'd go smaller, but I mean, if you think it looks dumb, you can tell me, but I don't think it looks dumb. It's especially with the cutting down the weight on the rubber strap with the rubber strap helps the wearability a lot. Because it is a chunky watch in every dimension. It is a little top heavy with the rubber strap on it, but yeah, it's absolutely wearable. I wear it under my turnout gear. I wear it obviously on calls all the time, and it has never gotten in the way of my job. And you could arguably it has enhanced it, because I can look down and see something really pretty whenever I want. Now, suppose we need a loom shot here, don't we? My UV going. The loom does last a really long time. So like last night, I hit it with the UV before going to bed. And at, God, when did I wake up? I don't know, like 4 or 5 o'clock. I woke up, picked up my watch to look at the time, checked what time it was, and it was still glowing. It was faint, but you know the room was dark, and I could still see that it was glowing. It does last a long time. I kind of miss the tritium, but you know that's neither here nor there as far as it goes. So yeah, let's turn the, oh, sorry, this overhead light has like 3 settings on it. And this video has gotten really long here. Wow. So yeah. Should you buy one? That's like so many other things, that depends entirely on you. For me, there was room in my collection for it, and always, you know, there always will be, because this is going to be my dedicated duty watch. I really don't think I'm going to trade this out for anything at this point. You know, I've had it for long enough. I really like it. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll be getting rid of it, or I don't think I'll be trading it for something else. I was lucky. I got a really good price for it. You know, I've seen my out the door price is often in line with asking prices on other watches. If you are going to be buying one of these from Japan, be prepared for a couple $100 in import duties. I forget what mine was, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like $150, $200. It was a little up there. So yeah, just keep that in mind. You know, if you see one, it's like if you see one of these for $2,200, it's actually going to be like $2,600 by the time it's shipped, dutied, and sales taxed. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, it's a gorgeous watch. Technologically and aesthetically, you're getting a lot for your money. And I have gotten compliments from lay people on this. There was a guy at work. He's like, "Oh, that's a really nice watch." So I took it off and gave it to him, and he tried it. I was like, "Yeah, it's a Grand Seiko," and he had never heard of it. He's into watches a little bit. You know, he really likes Citizens. He's got a couple of Citizens, but he had never heard of Grand Seiko. And I didn't really tell him. I was like, "Oh yeah, it's kind of like how, you know, if Seiko is Toyota, then, you know, Grand Seiko is like Lexus," which I think is a gross understatement, but that's the best way I could describe it to him without telling him how much I spent, because I didn't really want to tell him how much I spent. What was I thinking? So yeah, I don't know what I'm getting at. I've told you the things I like, that I don't like, and which is very few. It's a great looking watch. The quality is amazing, and it's a joy. It really is a joy to look at. And because I bought it used, pre-scratched, I don't really care if I get another scratch on it, because I'm probably not going to notice anyway. Thanks for watching.